I want to get back to our very patient guest now, Hady Amr, former US Special Representative for Palestinian Affairs. Hady, thank you so much for your time. This is such a big story today, and if you are a hopeful person, you think this is a first step. Where do you sit on that spectrum?
Thanks for having this important conversation. That's clearly the question for everyone in Gaza. Will this end the daily slaughter there, or will we all be heartbroken again? And as much as I'm praying for the slaughter to end, I really wouldn't bank on it. We're a long way from home.
We are a long way from home. What did you think? And look, I keep on bringing up not as a kind of frivolous issue, but it was notable to me that neither Trump or Netanyahu wanted to take questions on this. That tells me that there are parts of this plan that have a lot of holes in it. What did you think?
Look, I mean, I think we're already seeing in the Israeli press, Netanyahu and his mouthpieces in Israel are presenting the plan in a way to kind of push Hamas to say no, to kind of humiliate and shame them. Um, and then you're also seeing Israelis who care deeply about the Palestinian civilian population in Gaza and of course, the Israeli hostages and captives there, seeing Bibi's strategy. And so, what I fear is what Netanyahu's after is looking reasonable, and trying to get Hamas to reject the deal so that Israel can finish the job. I hope that I'm wrong, but that's what I see right now.
But Hady, if Hamas is not involved in this, why would they ever agree to a plan that wants to see their extinction?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Hamas is essentially being asked to give up all its leverage, to give up all the Israeli captives, to kind of lay down their arms. They're given a pathway to evacuate, and in exchange for promises that Israel will pull back, and let humanitarian aid in, but it certainly does not move us towards the world that I think everybody wants to see, right? And your government in Australia wants to see, having just recognized a Palestinian state where Israelis and Palestinians can enjoy the same freedoms, the same security, the same prosperity. I don't think there's a nod to it in the plan, but it doesn't really get us there. And so what it is, it does potentially provide relief, which I hope we get, which I hope the millions in Gaza get, right, to end the daily onslaught, to have Israel pull back, to allow aid to go in, to allow rubble to be cleared. But is this a turning point towards, a true end of the conflict?
Yeah.
I sadly, I don't see it.
Hady, much smarter people than me have been trying to work on a Palestinian peace deal for decades and decades and decades. We talk about Hamas and eradicating Hamas, and Netanyahu talks about that being, the end to the war and the end to the onslaught. But Hamas is just one group. There is an ideology there that is not going to be defeated. So what happens next?
I think, again, and I talked to many of those folks that you referenced today, other kind of peacemakers that I've worked with, and I think there's hope, but there's a lot of skepticism. Look, to get back to the plan for a moment, what's positive, right? And I do want to point out the positives, is that it ends the fighting. It's a release of captives, of Israeli captives. It's a release of proportion of Palestinian captives. There's a commitment that Israel will not annex Gaza. There is a nod to maybe a pathway for discussions for Palestinian, Israeli-Palestinian peace. But what's missing, right, is that there's no mention that there will be no annexation of the West Bank, which was in leaked drafts of the prior agreement. And so, I think that is a cause for concern. And at the same time, right, we've had Israel's ultra right-wing coalition partners in the person of Mr. Smotrich saying, there has to be a full Hamas exit, zero involvement of the Palestinian Authority in Gaza, never a role, never a place for a Palestinian state, and Israel must remain on the full perimeter of Gaza, land, air, and sea. So I think you're absolutely right. There isn't an incentive for Hamas to agree with it. Even, I do want to point out, as the Arab states and the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah have said they want to partner, with this plan and move forward to see where they can get to, because they want to see the relief of the Palestinian people in Gaza.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point that you point out, the annexation of the West Bank not in the plan. Obviously, there's been a lot of back and forth between Netanyahu and Trump, and each trying to give each other some kind of face saving when it came to this plan, given what they've both said in the past. But Hady, I think perhaps we let the dust settle on this one for a bit, see what happens in terms of response, and maybe we'll talk again in a week.
Happy to come back. This is such an important issue for us all.
It certainly is. Thanks so much for your time and your patience today.